You guys here. As you know, this is being recorded. And so I'm excited to be with you, Amber. And these
Me too.
all these guys and gals are too. So it's going to be great.
Good.
Wonderful. Hey, and then I thought that which we were able to do is to separate this, and maybe Jason or Russ or whoever's doing it, to where the two of us are the only ones on the screen. But I don't know if that can't happen, but if you can make it happen, that would be great. Otherwise, we'll just keep doing what we're doing. And just the two of us. But then, oh, there we go. They're getting it done. Perfect. Much appreciated. All right. Okay. Miss Milton, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Fabulous. So
Good.
excited to have you here and spend some time with us. And just as so you know, this will be recorded, and if anybody wants to go back on it and watch it later. But you've had such a great journey. You're such a dear friend. We've had the opportunity, of course, to travel together. We've and watching you and your husband and your two girls, and just watching the life that you guys have created. In fact, this morning I was mentioning and talking of you and saying how we had our morning meeting. I said, don't kid yourself. This lady came through snowstorms and blizzards to come to this morning meeting for years when you'd come down from Camas or Summit County and down into
Yeah.
Salt Lake. So just thank you for being you. Thank you for everything you do and the bright light that you are to this world and this business. And we're excited to get down into it. So tell us how long you've been in the business.
Going on 10 years.
So
So,
has it really been 10 years?
yeah, super
Wow.
exciting. I just know because I adopted my daughter right when I got my license, and she's
Okay.
10.
There you go. That
Yep.
makes it easy. That's
Yeah.
great. So just real quick, what got you into real estate? I mean, obviously you were doing other things, and in
Yeah.
fact, I know your husband is a builder and
Yeah.
took a little break, and I think is kind of coming back into it again. But what got you into the real estate business? How did it all start? What's your story of intrigued you to get into the business?
Well, we had a house by in Mill Creek off of 3900 South and about 15th East. And we got this wild hair to move to Heber. And just on a whim, I think my husband got an email from a real estate agent about a house that was for sale. And we drove up there to take a look at it. We weren't really even planning to move, but it sparked our interest because I love the mountains and I always wanted to live in the mountains. And I thought, if we're gonna move all the way to Heber, I want the house that I want. And so we built our first home, my husband's first home from the ground up. And we sold our house in Mill Creek and we hired an agent to do the sale for us. But I just thought I could do this myself. I would love to do this. I love working with people. And when we struggled to have children for a long time. And when we finally found out we got to adopt our little girl, I didn't want to be working like 60-hour work weeks and commuting to Salt Lake from Heber every single day. So I really got into the business to have more flexibility, to be a mom and, also work full time, but it's worked out wonderfully. It didn't happen overnight. It took a lot of time to build up my reputation and get those repeat clients and things like that. But that's why I decided to go for it
I
and
love
switch
it.
careers.
Well, actually, you said a handful of things. I mean, obviously, one of the things that seemed to have inspired you, and whether your experience was positive or negative, we don't even need to get into, but it was really your observation of seeing other people do this business. And
Right.
to your point, saying, I love people, which I think you're hitting a very key point. A lot of people are in real estate sales because they think they love real estate. The
Yeah.
reality is that you know as well better than anybody nowadays, right? That you're selling yourself, right? You're selling
Oh, yeah.
people on you, and the fact that you can help lead them and help them navigate through a process. I love that. But you said something really interesting to me, that you realized it was the people.
Mhm.
When did you come to that conclusion? Because in fairness, most people don't figure out that this business is about people. They still think it's about brick and mortar. They think it's about
Yeah.
location of a piece of real estate. When did they come to the conclusion that it was about people? Actually, no, I also answer this.
Yeah.
What else were you doing? What were you doing before you got into real estate? And then
Yeah.
answer the question about people. But what were you doing for real
Okay.
estate? Sorry, I know I'm
You got it, George. Okay. So I was in retail sales before. So I was a
okay.
district manager. a regional manager. So I was in sales, but it was retail sales and it was development of people. I was the training district manager. So I traveled a lot. And then in addition to that, I worked at a sports bar and I served tables. And it's so funny because there was one of the patrons, I guess. He'd come in all the time and obviously he wasn't a very good agent because he was at the bar
Right, right, right.
every night at 4, 4 or 5 o'clock. But he always is like, he's like, Amber, you've got the most dynamic personality. He's like, you need to go into real estate. You would rock it. So I think that that's what planted the seed. Because, whether you're serving tables or working, in sales, I mean, you're just conversing with people on a daily basis and you either got it or you don't, because that's a skill that you can't really train and teach. Either people have the ability to communicate with other people or, I mean, they could work on it, but I think that
You know what
kind of got
I would add is you can work on the communication, but one of the things I have found is, and I've observed it because we've traveled together, I've seen how you've treated other people, how you serve other people, how you do, which we'll get into some of the service that you're doing. But I'll never forget when someone asked me, this is years ago, but they said, I realized you really actually love people. And I said, yeah. And then they responded back with, and they are agents still in the business and they are still in this company. But they said, I don't. It's like, well, I can see that this job may be very difficult if you don't love and care for people, because
Right.
and I would interpret what you said is that your love and your care for people is something, in so many words, that you don't necessarily teach. It's either you
Yeah.
have that or don't. And to your point, can you improve communication skills and the way to navigate with someone or lead with someone? The answer is, of course we can. But I don't think you can teach the fact that, to your point, of your great love and your desire to serve and to help people, which emulates or emanates like from your whole entire life as to what you do. Okay, good. All right. So with that being said, jump to just this idea of you going into real estate and just wanting to do this. What and did you just cold turkey? Did you just completely stop? Did you like talk about and it's obviously a big shout out to Leah Kruger, or both of our dear friends, but a mentor and really
Yeah.
mentored me for so many years. Um, Talk about how you even first started with working on a team and have remained even on that team, even though you have your independence and the things that you're doing yourself. Talk just a little bit about that journey and how you transitioned into this business.
Right. Okay. So when I was on maternity leave, I did all my online classes and I went and tested, got passed the test on my first try.
Good
And
job.
I did cold turkey it. I didn't feel like I was cold turkeying, but I did. I took a leap of faith and it was scary because we had just adopted our baby girl. We had just
Right.
moved from Salt Lake to Heber. We just built our first house, had a big house payment, and here I'm switching careers in the middle of this chaos.
Wow.
And
I don't
I
think I
I
do that.
honestly didn't get a paycheck for about 5 months, and it was hard. But I didn't really interview with any other brokerages. I knew Leah. Leah actually has kids that are my age. And
Okay.
then my husband worked with her husband a long time ago. He rented part of his shop when he was a welder. And
Gotcha.
anyway, so we had lots of different connections. And Leah just took me under her wing. She was such a great mentor. I joined her team, so I had that moral support. And I loved the structure that Century 21 gave me because I was used to going, I mean, I was on salary, but I was used to going in every day, clocking in and clocking out. And I needed that regular push to keep me going because it's
So you
easy to get
you
discouraged.
treated it like a job,
Exactly. Yeah.
right? I mean, as if like, okay, I'm going to show up at the morning meeting, then I'm going to go do my prospecting, then I'm going to go do my thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think that's what led to my success is just having those disciplines in place and that structure because that's what I needed absolutely. And I love the motivation. Like George, I can tell you love what you do because you care. And I think that you and John are both so inspiring. And I listen to that morning message and just going to the the morning meetings all of the time, especially when I was new. I just thrived there. It kept my chin up and gave me a lot of hope when I wasn't doing any sales.
Well, you think about it, in 2014, we were just beginning to come out of the real hardships and the difficulties of the market. The
Yeah,
markets were starting to catch just a tiny bit of momentum. But then also, right, you've now been doing this long enough where you've seen some of the best times and great, or they were okay times, then they got to be really good times, then they got to be white hot type of times because of during COVID when the real estate market went nuts. And then
right.
it was that moment where you had all of these different listings. You were also, questioning your ability to get some of them sold, or what's going on in today's market, or to get them sold. Um, Talk to me a little bit about just the highs and the lows, right? I mean, you're someone who obviously cares for people. Uh, Certainly you've had moments where people have rejected either working with you, using you as an agent, but then also the factors of disappointment that happen when a deal doesn't come together like you want it to, a listing doesn't sell like you want it to. What advice would you give in regards to just discouragement or moments of doubt or moments of, okay, how do I get this done? And the many times we've said, George, how would you say this? And maybe, of course, you've asked Leah and others, or you've crafted your own dialogues and conversations and how to help someone navigate bringing prices down. But there's all those moments of discouragement that happen through those moments, or those doubts in ourself as to, can we do this? How have you managed that?
That's a great question because when I first got into the business, man, I was so emotionally involved. I wouldn't sleep at night. I would just like put
Uh,
my whole heart and soul into getting these homes sold, which is great though, right? But you can only control so much and you can do the very, very, very best that you can do for your clients. And there's a lot of things that are out of your control and you just kind of have to let those go. But be on top of your game, do everything possible to get that end result. And then I loved, actually it was Doug Carey at one of our summits. He spoke and the thing that always stood out to me, this was a few years ago, but it was just like, okay, next, you can't win them all and you can't dwell on the disappointments. I think that was a quote from you, George. Like if you dwell on the down and the hard times,
right?
you're not going to succeed and climb out of that hole because like if people out there follow me on social media, you'll see all my wins like, oh, another house sold, another house under contract, or these new buyers I turned the keys over today. Those that doesn't show all the behind the scenes. That doesn't show my listings that have gone stale that aren't selling. I mean, it doesn't show. Of course I'm not going to brag
Right.
about
Or a
not
deal
getting a
floating, a
listing,
deal
but
blowing up, or a deal not coming together, right? Yeah.
right. Yep, there's the pros and cons no matter what you do.
Yeah.
So
Well, I've had the privilege of not only to spend time with you, but also you've paid me at times in your career to coach you. And I say that to you, that just watching you move through the journey, I thought it was interesting in your most difficult moments, or the most challenging moments where you were reinventing, you would say, maybe the approach to the business as the markets were shifting. You stepped into coaching during difficult moments and to make sure you solve the problems as fast as you can. And then, of course, that year, it wasn't last year, but the year before, I mean, then you ended up having just another banner year like you did this last year, where you made just under $1 million last year. So
yeah,
you start looking at that type of revenue, you look at that type of journey, and you start to realize like you got to be doing some really special things. So here's the question then.
yeah,
What do you do for you? And aside from the obvious, yes, we love morning meetings, daily messages, things that the company
right.
provide. But what are you doing to navigate the right mindset, the right emotions, just to be in the right space to really win at this game? What do you do?
I spend a lot of time doing my own thing, right? In the mornings, like working out. I'm always
Okay,
listing
go
some
into more
content.
detail on that, Amber. Like
Okay.
really, what do you do? I mean, do you
Yeah.
from cold plunge to, which I know you do that. I mean, like, what do
Uh,
you do? What do you do to stay like in that warrior mode where you're able to just dial it in and kill it?
Well, I think that because I'm a working mom, I mean, I've got kids in swimming and cheer and dance. I'm like always running around. So I have to be very, very organized and disciplined with my schedule because I've got every minute accounted for. But I get up if we're training for a race, which we're not right now, but if I am, I get up at 4 and we run for about an hour. And then I get home and we work out. We have a home gym that we
Okay,
work
so
out.
hold on, let me go back.
Yeah.
I'm gonna want to keep going through this, but I want to interrupt you. I apologize. But so you have a race, and I just want to hear that clearly. So you choose something, like
Yeah.
as an example, which we're going to get to in a second, but you're climbing Kilimanjaro in Africa for the second time this year, right? In
Yes.
June. So what I'm hearing is you put something out there that you're going to go accomplish and achieve, whether
Correct.
it's a race, a triathlon, a marathon, the Kilimanjaro. You put something out there that helps get you focused on what you need to do today so that you can achieve whatever it is that you've set for yourself, especially in a physical way in your life.
Yeah.
I
Correct.
hope people hear that. That is like a
Yeah.
golden nugget. Like people go, "Wow, I need to get in shape." Give yourself a reason to get in shape.
So true. Yes. Amen. Yeah. If I
Okay?
don't have something to work towards, it's easy to sleep in, right? But if you're like, I've got to run an ultra marathon in 30 days, there's no days off. It just helps you stay on
Right.
track.
Yeah. Well,
Absolutely.
I think you're so cute because you came up to me and go, George, no circles. We don't run circles because of the talk I gave about
Yeah.
no one like wakes up today and goes, can I just run in a circle? No, like summit something, achieve something, move
So
towards
true.
something. Yeah,
Yes.
that's fun. That's
Yeah.
great. Okay,
I
so what?
actually
Okay, keep
cold
going.
plunged
So,
this morning.
part of your morning thing
Yeah.
is to get you dialed in is like, hey, I've got an objective. I'm working
Yes.
towards something. But now
Yeah.
get a little more granular. Like, give me some specifics of like, do you meditate, pray, read? How do you
Yeah.
educate yourself? Is it in the car?
So working out in the morning is key. And then I got to get the kids off to school. And then
Okay.
once they're gone, either I have appointments right away or I have some time to just kind of get, my off, phone calls, return, follow up with showings, prepare for listing appointments. So just kind of some busy work before I go out in the field and meet with clients. But when I'm in the car, I'm always listening to something motivating. I'd like to get on more of a meditation schedule because I haven't been doing that. And when I do, I feel so much more peaceful and less
Good.
overwhelmed. Yeah. I don't know.
How do you, and
Yeah.
how do you educate? I know how you do because we've talked about it, but tell us how you educate yourself. How do you, and as you're listening to things, when do you do that?
Well, when I'm driving, I drive a
Okay.
lot because I
So the
live clear out in the
majority of
woods.
where your education is, like you've kind of
Yeah.
like Zig Ziglar said, you've made your audio your car the audio university basically,
Correct.
or
Yes,
mobile university.
absolutely. Yeah. I love learning. And, when I find a book that I love, I'll listen to it over and over again sometimes, to get those principles stuck in my mind.
Okay.
But then I also attend workshops and the meetings and things like that too.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
to stay on top of my education.
for perspective, right? You've done things with Chris Crone, you've done things with Mike Ferry, you've done
Yeah.
things with ESS, you've done things with me. Like you've done Tony, you've gone to Tony Robbins, right?
Yes.
Right. I mean,
Love Tony Robbins.
there's this commitment to elevating yourself, right? Mentally, emotionally, and physically, it seems like and it seems like your income's going hand in hand with that.
Yeah. No, I'll tell you what, when I work out, I wanted to show you guys this. This is my dream board. So when I'm working out, I always get a look at this. And this is all the things I want to do
Ah, that's
and
great.
accomplish.
So
So there you go.
you've really created, and when was is this one that you've done a while ago, or is
I
this
know I did this at the beginning of the year.
okay? So this is new.
Yeah, this is new. Yeah.
Tell us one or two of the goals because it's a little bit blurry. Maybe
I know. So this
that's
is us
okay,
scuba
but
diving.
give us one or two goals or
Yeah.
you want to achieve.
Well, my husband and I just got our scuba certification. So we're going to probably do a trip soon here. That was something that I wanted to accomplish. And
Okay,
then just I want to get some real estate, like some investments. An investment property is my goal this year. So
I love it. I love it. What would you say if an agent was really struggling and was really having a challenge at this moment, and maybe it was their belief, or maybe there's some deals that have gone sideways or no deals at all? what advice if they said, Amber, help me, coach
Yeah.
me, train me, like tell me what I'm supposed to do? What would you tell them?
I would say stick it out, stick with the basics because it will get you. Just like I think you've said this before. It's like it's a recipe, and if you follow and the ingredients and the certain steps in the logical chronological order that you're supposed to, you will get results. I think when I was a new agent, one of the things I struggled with was you wanted it right then. Instant gratification, and it just doesn't happen because good things take time. I actually took a picture of this quote. It says, the best things in the world should take time and they should be hard because they're the best things in the world, right?
Right.
So, I mean, I think patience and just perseverance, you will get there. 100%, I believe in that. So,
Yeah. So talk a little bit about just your journey with giving back. You've got some amazing things that you're doing in regards to charity work, of course, in Africa with the wells and water.
yeah.
But first, start with first, what got you into that framework of giving back? And maybe
Yeah.
what was that? And maybe there was a defining moment, or just as if it's always been who you are. That's great. And then just a little bit about what you're going to be doing in June.
Yeah. So I actually met this woman when I was showing her condo in Midway. She was there. She was the seller, and I wasn't her agent, but I was representing some buyers. And she had all of these African artifacts in her house. And I just sparked up a conversation with her. And I'm like, wow, I'm like, you've got some cool decor in this house. Do you travel a lot? And she said that she owns Hearts and Hands for Humanity. And then I ended up connecting with her. This was a couple years ago, and now she's become a great friend. And anyway, she started this organization. So we went over there with her once. We've just always had the desire to do humanitarian work
Over to Africa.
in Africa. Yep, Tanzania. So we went over there the first time and we saw what they did, and we just fell in love with it. We brought our kids. At that time, they were 8 and 10. So we were a little hesitant to bring them, but they loved it. They instantly connected with all of the cute little kids, and your heart just like fills up with so much love. It's such a wonderful experience. So we did that, and then we got this bug that we wanted to hike Kilimanjaro. So we went back 6 months later and summited on our anniversary, Kilimanjaro, and we brought a well that I raised money with Century 21, Everest Foundation. So that was really cool. I'm going to send you the video, George, because they sent me a video recently. The
Oh,
well
cool.
is thriving. Yeah. And the village is, I mean, it's just amazing. It makes me want to cry. So cool. So now my kids got this wild idea that they were going to raise money themselves to bring a well on their own. And so that was July of a couple years ago. And they got home, they sold cookies, they cleaned houses, they took care of our neighbors' horses. Like they earned that money so fast, and they have raised $8,000 by themselves. And we're going to go in June, right when school gets out. So
And you're
really
hiking
excited.
Kilimanjaro again, right?
Yes, and the kids are going
This
to
time you're
climb the
doing it
mountain
with
with us.
your two children, your two daughters, right?
Yeah, they're going to do it with us. Yeah.
So I think here's the thing and we're going to Everest Base Camp here in
Yeah, I can't
October,
wait.
right?
Yeah.
Everybody's invited.
So
It's just
fun.
four
Yeah,
open
I'm so excited
spots.
about that.
Got a great group that's going. It's going to be amazing. But my point to you, how do you step away with the volume of business you do? One of the things that maybe people don't know, you don't have some entourage of a big team. You don't have, 20 buyers agents, and not there's the volume of business, the income that you're earning, the way that you're able to step away from your business, the way you're able to serve. How do you manage that? How do you do that? And obviously it's a good shout out for your
Yeah.
sister Ashley and whatnot, but
Yeah.
how are you able to step away with the like, and yeah, we're going to get to your radio, or not, sorry, radio, TV thing that you did here in a
Yeah.
minute, but how do you do all that and still have a life
You know
and
what?
still
It
make,
takes a lot
make
of
nearly $1 million last year?
yeah. So a lot of organization and planning ahead, and just telling my clients up front, look, I'm going to be gone the first 2 weeks of June, so they know what to expect.
Okay, so
Um,
you're pacing them,
yeah,
right?
exactly. And and not slowing down because I'm not going to not take listings because I'm going to be out of town. Like the show doesn't stop because I'm out of town. We can still move forward. When I was in Ecuador last year, I had some clients that decided to relist on the 4th of July. And my assistant, Ashley, she listed the house. She used our previous photos and we got an offer and we were under contract by the time I got home. And it's because I trust her so much and my clients also know her. So I think we make a good team. She's been with me for 5 years now. Prior to that, she worked with me in the retail business as well. So I know that she, can step up to the plate when I need her to.
Great.
But I mean, that's key is just future pacing and setting everything up so they don't feel like, oh, she's, left us high and dry. What's going on?
I think you're nailing something really critical, and that is that you're telling the truth.
Yeah.
That because you're working your butt off, while you're here in, let's just say the US, when you're traveling abroad, you're able to also be very transparent about the vision. I think I've really appreciated has been your transparency, even online. You share your life. You're not afraid from the fact or scared by the fact that you earn money, you have a successful career, you have an actual life. You're not hiding your life from anybody and everybody. And I find it incredibly inspiring that you're able to be that free and transparent and that people are encouraged by your success. Because the one thing that I have found in you, Amber, is that as you continue to earn more money and have more success, you're not withdrawing from people, you're engaging more with people. You're not in some words have, given this power and strength economically, pulling back from individuals, you're serving more individuals. You're becoming more of your great self and what you bring to this, this earth and this beautiful world that we live in from that standpoint. I
Thank you.
want to, two things I want to talk about. One is your prospecting. When you and I first started sitting down, we would talk about some of the structural things and that sort. But to your point, where you have everything mapped out, everything scheduled, as a general statement, I know the answer, but I want you to give it. How are you managing your prospecting? How are you managing, like, like the sources of your business? And this would be a good segue as we go to talk about Timber Lakes and some of the things you've done with some of the mountain properties and different things that you sell.
Mhm.
How do you manage your prospecting with your sphere and what you do and what works for you? And I think you're an incredible example of, well, I'm just going to say this, knowing you do a tremendous amount of prospecting, even in your car, where your look is very different, but also it works exceptionally well. So talk about your approach to prospecting and securing clientele and working with people and some of the things that might be helpful for others to hear.
Yeah, so I do. Right now I'm sending out one of my mailers. So this is the postcard that'll go out. Oh, it's kind of
Okay.
blurry.
Oh, there
Uh,
you go. It's
but
clear.
anyway, so I send this out. These are all the houses that I sold in that Timber Lakes neighborhood. So
Okay.
I would say farming is really key. Um, and one of my goals this year is to grow my business outside of Timber Lakes, where I
Sure.
live now, because I don't live here. I still have property in this community, but I don't live here. But just and then staying on top of your SOI, making those calls each quarter to each one of them is key, and just staying top of mind. And then I do a lot of social media. So I'll do occasionally the just sold or just listed postcards. But if I did those all the time, I'd be spending a fortune on on
Oh, no,
mailers, on
like I
snail
say,
mail.
but when you'll do the post, you do the postcards, right?
Yeah.
You'll work your sphere, which I know you're saying your farm, but in fairness, Timber Lakes has really become part of your sphere in so many ways.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You say farming, where at one point I think you were even knocking doors in that area, right?
Well, not really,
Oh,
because it's
no?
mountains. They're like
Okay.
all on acres.
Oh, well, there you go. I haven't been out there for
Yeah, you
so
don't
long.
door knock in that
You're
neighborhood.
not door knocking, all right. But you're saying the mailer, are you, but then between, if I recall, tell me if I'm wrong, but between you and Ashley, you also were following some of those things up with phone calls.
Oh yeah, yeah, we do calls. We actually have a calling list of Timber Lakes, and we do cold calls on
Okay, so you're
Timber Lake.
calling
Yeah,
them
yeah.
and then you're working your sphere from mailers to calling them to talking with them. Some of
Mhm.
that's of course done in your home office or whatnot, but some of it you're also you're so free and committed to your calls. I presume you're not worried about whether you're driving down the road or whether you're in your office to have these calls with your database, right?
Oh no, yeah, just wherever I can do
So
it.
wherever you are, you're saying,
Yeah,
hey, we're going to prospect and we're going to make connections.
yep.
So segue that to, I know Timber Lakes, and obviously it gave you some really important I almost want to say publicity, and you were known because became the expert in that area, in that neighborhood, and in that development. That moved into I was now move into talking about the TV and the things that you're doing there.
Yeah, so actually did a HGTV episode of House Hunters, and it hasn't been released yet, but it's called Cabin Dreams, and we filmed that last winter, and it was really fun, but I'm waiting for the episode to come out. So when I find out, I'll let you know.
All right.
Then
All right.
in addition to that, I've been doing American Dream TV, and some of you may have heard of it. You can watch it online, but I've done probably 6 or 7 episodes of it. We just did one snowmobiling episode in Timber Lakes, and it was really fun. It was fun. We had a great time filming it. So that's been good connections. So you highlight a business or something in the area, and then usually what you do is you promote one of your listings, and then you focus on a business, so you get connections, from the business owner as well. So on this last episode, we didn't have enough time to do all of that. So we featured the home that was for sale, and then we went on a snowmobiling adventure. So it was fun.
It's great. It's great.
Yeah.
So for you, what's the importance? What have you found? Have you found the stuff that you've done with TV? Has it been helpful? Has it helped secure business? Has it given you credibility?
Yeah.
And then how are you using social media? Because I'm sure some of it's used there. How are you using social media, the TV? How are you using it to build your business?
So to answer your question, yes, it's given me credibility. I just closed on a house on Friday, and the sellers were going through a divorce, and honestly, it was kind of an ugly situation. I'm glad it's over, but we got the house sold. But the husband wanted to list with me, and he was insistent. And he's like, "We got to go with Amber because she's on this TV show." And his wife was like, "No, we want to go with this other agent." So, anyways, I would credit the fact that this TV show helped me get this particular listing, but it's also helped me get connections in the community. So Alicia Madsen that works at Century 21, she was on an episode with me. I featured a business in Riverton, and the owner of that business has a cabin in Timber Lakes. So he sends me clients all the time, and I just love that guy. But I mean, he's amazing. So I mean, just connections in general. It's like I'm promote. It's kind of like you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours.
Right.
It's been a great connection, and it's been fun. So when we went with that, I met several people that I had never met before, because there was a big group of people that go snowmobiling every weekend, and it was just so much fun.
It's great. One of
Yeah.
the things I really appreciate, and that you'll still even do this, and it was not too long ago that you did it. You'll say, "Hey, give me some advice," or "How would you say this?" and "How would you say that?" As we go back to your love of people in regards to skill sets and communication, what do you think has been the most impactful things you've done to improve your ability to sell and improve your ability to communicate at a higher level? What would you say is the most important stuff that you've done?
I think just what you said earlier, just transparency. Um, I don't like to sugarcoat things anymore. And I'm not going to tell people what they want to hear. Like the market in Timber Lakes is really tough right now. It's really soft. The demand for second homes has gone down a lot. And prices and values skyrocketed during COVID because the demand was so high. And it's a never ending battle that sellers want this price and buyers want to pay this price. And so I'm
Sure.
trying to merge that gap. And I used to feel like it was all on my shoulders that I had to get the sellers this astronomical price. But you know what? I had a beautiful listing this last summer, and it was a repeat client. And as beautiful and remarkable as his home was, I had sold a house for him during the pandemic, and I told him the market has shifted. I just cannot sell your house for that amount. And he ended up pulling it off the market. It still hasn't sold yet. He listed it with another agent, but it's like I mean, I can't work miracles. I'll do everything I can do because our goal is the same, to get your house sold. But I just think that transparency and people appreciate that honesty. I mean, I don't want to be lied to. I want you to tell me what the facts are. Keep it cut and dry, and let's get to the point. Let's get it done.
Yeah, you start looking at that and you start realizing that, so much of our conversations we and I have had over these last few years have been to really separate yourself emotionally from you being the representation of the actual market
Yeah,
itself. And I distinctly remember our conversation, just this simple statement: I am not responsible for the market. I'm responsible for marketing your home, but I'm
yeah,
not responsible for the market. And to be able to truly separate the idea of the market and what I do to market a home. And once you begin to realize that you're not responsible for the market, you're not the one who forces someone to buy or to sell a particular property at a certain price. You can educate, you can help someone navigate, you can lead them through a process. But at the end of the day, the market is set by those that are in the market. And just
right.
recognizing and you said it in a little different way, but I would just add, and I've said this to you before privately, Amber, and that is that the best marketing plans and marketing efforts in the world still do not sell overpriced homes. And the misnomer in our industry, or just the real estate market, is that someone magically is going to get more money because of magical marketing. And the reality is that the market is set by the people in it. Once I was able to remove myself emotionally from the market, and I think you have too, of course, yes, out of your care and concern, you want to see homes sell, but at the same time, you're okay if they didn't, and you're going to sleep just fine. But you're not, because you're not going to take responsibility for the actual market, but you can take activity or take responsibility for your own actions.
Right.
Let,
Yeah.
let's switch gears just a little bit. For you, what's next? How do you continue to have such epic years? How do you continue to grow and to expand? And I want to add this: how are you managing, like when we say what's next, how are you managing some of even the changes that happened with NAR and commissions? Have you seen any impact on that? Has that been something that you've had to deal with or in really any way, shape, or form? But what's next for you, and how are you dealing with the current circumstances of today's market?
Yeah, I mean, really, you just got to go with the flow. Just keep
Okay,
on trucking. I love my life that I've created. I get to be mom to my kids. We get to travel. We get to do fun things, and I get to work. I mean, I love working. It
good,
sounds silly, but
great.
I love what I do. Truly, I do. And
Have,
to
have
me,
have
it's
you found any
rewarding.
challenges with what
Yeah.
happened with NAR in regards to your commissions and things?
Um,
You found that to be a real challenge at this point for you?
it hasn't really impacted me. Um, and lately on my listing appointments, it hasn't been that big of a deal. During the time where it was transitioning, I would say it was more relevant, and it's still relevant because it does affect things. But in the whole scheme of things, it didn't have that big of an impact on it. I think I'm
You asked
seeing,
about it. So if I
yeah.
ask you, say, Amber, what's this commission thing? I understand I don't have to pay buyer agent commissions and you're at a listing appointment. Role play with me. How would you answer that? Do I have to pay commissions, or what's this commission thing? How are you answering it?
I'll say actually all commissions are negotiable. It's just a different approach now. So instead of the commission being advertised on the listing itself, the buyer's agent, when they're bringing you an offer, they're asking for their commission. So up front, you and I will set, whether you're willing to do 2.5 or 3%, we set that up front, but it can change throughout the transaction depending on the offer. So
Great.
usually I'm seeing buyer's agent commission more at like 2.5 than 3.
Yep.
But it also depends. So
Yep. I love it. What would you say is your biggest objection right now in just going out and selling real estate, buyers or sellers? What's some of the objections you're dealing with?
buyers interest rates, obviously, right?
Okay.
So we're all anticipating them to go down, and they're not going down like we wanted them to.
That's facts.
Um,
That's the thing.
yeah, but I mean, with buyers, it's like why would you not buy now? Because when rates go down, prices will go up. I mean, it's pretty simple. So
So
that's
what,
the,
how are you dealing with, well, we're going to wait for prices to come down because like, give me, I mean, I presume you keep hearing, we're going to
yeah.
wait for prices to go down.
I would say buy now because prices are not going to go down. They're going to go up when rates come down. So it's in your best interest to buy now. And especially because the market's not super competitive for
Sure.
buyers. The buyers are getting a better deal right now. Buyers are getting closing costs paid for, and that will make a huge difference for them in the long run. And then they can refinance, in a year or two when rates do go down. But absolutely now is the time to buy. So it's
So
easy
what's
for
next?
me to convince them because I believe that.
Yeah. What's next for you? What do you want to achieve? What do you want to accomplish? What do you want your business to look like? What do you want your life to look like? What would you share with
Uh,
us? What's next for
yeah,
you?
and I mean, keep living the good life. We go to Lake Powell a lot. We have a cabin in Bear Lake that we love. I'm looking forward to summer. But I want to grow my business in the Camas Valley a little bit more where I live. So I'm networking there. I started a book club here in Oakley. So that's great. I mean, it
Hey,
sounds really cheesy, but I got so much business from all of the ladies that I met in Timber Lakes doing this. And so this one in this neck of the woods, I'm in charge of. So we just had our first meeting last month, but I'm looking forward to that.
that's fine.
Um,
Great.
yeah, it'll be fun. And then just continuing my education, I love to help new agents if they ever need advice. I think I've helped so many different people. They'll reach out to me and ask me, how did you get your license? What do I need to do to get started? So
Love
I
it.
love to provide
How
that.
how do you remain so optimistic and open and bright? Hey, I'm being serious. Like everyone knows you, everyone sees your brightness and your
Oh,
joy. I mean, you even said some things. People, I hope that people are hearing this. You said, "Hey, just go with the flow. Hey, it's all going to be good." Where did have you always been so optimistic? I mean, is that how you were as a kid? I mean, is it something you're really conscious of when you find yourself getting maybe a little discouraged for a second? Do you catch yourself and remaining? Because man, there's so you know this. You've heard me say that treat everybody you meet as if they're going through the most difficult moments of their life, and they probably are. So be
yeah.
like, how did you choose, or has it always been? And now I know you're a lot more conscious of it. That brightness, that light, that optimism, that hopeful energy, which people are so attracted to that when there's so much that's so negative and challenging in today's world.
Yeah.
How
I would
how have
say
you figured that one out?
I would say gratitude, of course, is number one, right? If you've got gratitude in your heart, it's more difficult to be negative. But of course, I have bad days like everybody else. I don't always have the smile on my face. I
Well,
was
but
supposed to
and I don't think you're naive. Let's make sure we're clear. I don't think you're naive.
Yeah,
I think you have made a choice. Well, here's a good example. You said I don't always have a smile on my. Well, I don't know you not to ever have a smile. I know you've had some rough moments. I get that. But my point to you is like, is there a conscious decision that you've made that, hey, I'm going to show up bright. I'm going to show up optimistic. I'm going to show up with possibility and hope or is it because I don't ever get with you and you're like, there's never a heaviness and a big sigh, like, oh, like that's never been my experience. So
yeah.
I don't consider you naive. So how do you stay in that space of brightness?
I would just say look for the good in all things. I mean, if you're struggling through a trial, I mean, it's always for our own good. Sometimes when you're in the middle of it, you don't realize that, but what are you learning from this? Whenever I get stuck in a transaction that's either not going anywhere or is really difficult, I try to remain positive. I mean, everything can be figured out. And some things are easier than others, but I think that, if life was easy and real estate was easy, everybody would be succeeding at it because it's a fun job and it pays well.
Right.
But it isn't easy and it's not for the faint of heart. I mean, you got to keep moving forward and just look for the good. And I try to set a good example too, not just for my kids, but just in general, because I mean, you want to inspire other people, and I think that that's what makes me feel good. That's what's rewarding in life is, if you're having an impact on somebody else's life and it's for the good, that's what keeps me going.
I love it. You, I hope that people really heard the golden nugget here. And what I hear from me, at least how I am dissecting what you said, is you've acknowledged that there can be bad days, but you also, what I'm observing is that you say things like, hey, it's going to be okay. You start negotiating with yourself. And I think that sometimes we forget that there is often a negotiation within ourselves of the emotions, the feelings, the experience that we choose to have. Or we negotiate with ourselves as to how we choose to show up. We may say things like, well, how would someone else want me to show up? And we will then engage into a better place of energy because of what you're saying. So I hope that people recognize that it's not something that just happens. It's something that you have negotiated with yourself, and even maybe you could even say demanded of yourself, and that you've asked of yourself. So as you maneuver through this, just, I mean, one, those who are listening, I hope that you're aware that it's not just an accident. You choose these things, and maybe we may be pulled naturally towards some different energies, but at the end of the day, we have a choice. And I just love the fact that you've made such amazing choices and that people feel better every time that you show up because you're there. People feel better about themselves, Amber. And
Oh, thank you.
that is something really, really special about who you are as an individual.
Well, thank you, George.
What would you, yeah, you're welcome. You deserve it. What would you say for you is one of the most important goals that you want to achieve in the next little bit? And then if anybody even in the chat wanted to ask a question or whatnot, you guys are welcome to add into the chat. But if you had a question that you wanted to ask Amber, as we have the next 6 or 7 minutes here, but what's something that you really want to achieve, a goal that you want to accomplish professionally?
Well, I do want to hit that $1 million mark.
Okay.
I was at
Hey,
nine
I love it.
hundred twenty thousand dollars so close.
Yep.
But I mean that's a monetary goal. But I mean, I got a lot of stuff
That's
on this
professionally. It's
report.
something. Okay. So a
Yeah,
million plus,
yeah.
give us one more. What's something else you
Um,
want to achieve?
I want to acquire an investment property this year.
Okay.
So
All right.
yeah.
Well, on another date, I'm going to ask you more in detail what that looks like because the more clear you get on it,
Yes.
the better for certain. Plus, I mean, and guys, you're a great and just mention the areas that you serve. I know my own son even has referred you. Uh,
Yeah.
I know that you get a number of referrals, but the area in which you work up in the Summit County and like what
Wasatch
areas do you work?
County. Yeah.
If people wanted to refer you something, put you out there to help them. You've been amazing on the appointments I know that you've gone on, and you've gotten the deals done. But what areas are you serving?
So Camas Valley, Park City, Wasatch, basically the Wasatch bag. So Midway and
Okay.
Heber,
Okay.
everything in between. Yeah. And then I do Salt Lake too. I grew up in Sandy.
Yeah. How do you balance out, Amber, also just and then we'll see if there's a number of people who have children on this call, certainly mothers, even mothers who are single, tremendous responsibilities and just navigating their life and economically, and of course, on the home front. What advice would you give to a mother who's trying to put it all together and trying to manage hey, how do I make
Yeah.
money here? And at the same time, I'm supposed to be an amazing mother and or parent, whatever their life is looking like. What would you say to them?
Yeah, I think that was a struggle I had in the beginning because I wanted so badly to be a mother and then also to be a successful career woman as well. But just always promote yourself. I mean, I email this is a prime example. I emailed my daughter's teacher and she told her in her class, I need to talk to your mom about buying a house. And it was literally just because she saw my email signature. So
Yeah.
I think that moms like scheduling play dates with their mom's friends. I mean, there is always opportunity to prospect. I think it's Jessica she's like the soccer mom, and she's gotten so much business, and she's on the soccer field every single weekend. That's all she does, sell houses and soccer, right? I
Yep.
think that you can make your goals in the circle that you need to do. Um, but I think there's opportunity everywhere you look.
Yeah. I agree. So for you, in regards to just, I want to go back to just your business model. Is the way your business looks today the way you continue to plan it, or is there anything you're going to add to your business? Kind of, what is it? Another agent? Is it a buyer's agent? Is it another assistant? Is it for you and your business? What do you intend to expand on? What do you intend to do, or is it remain structurally the same way, but then maximizing your efforts and the efficiencies and being able to earn more under the same model? Is there things that you're looking to change, improve on, or add to your business?
I think eventually I'd like to have a team. I've talked about doing an office in this neck of the woods. I don't know if I want to do that or not, but I want to grow and, like I said, help other agents become successful as well. So maybe a team in the future. We'll see.
Okay. And if you were to build a team, let's just say, what would it be, just primarily starting initially with a buyer's agent is probably what you're thinking? Is that, or are you thinking an assistant? Or are you thinking someone to replace maybe some of the activities you're doing from a listing standpoint? Anything you're leaning towards if you were to do it in the future? And I'm not saying it's tomorrow.
Yeah.
It could be years from now. What's next for you structurally in your business?
Structurally, that's a good question. I do have the
We're
desire
having a
to,
mini little coaching session, Amber. I'm putting you on the
yeah,
spot.
but right now I do like where I'm at. I don't want to be an agent that, the client thinks they hired and then disappear and they never see me again.
Sure.
So, I mean, I've had a couple clients tell me that, where they work with the top agent and then they never see them throughout the transaction or talk to them again. So I do like the hands-on. Um, but I think eventually I would hire some more people to help me
Sure.
do the busy work, I guess. But I mean, my assistant is such a rock star. She's kind of my buyer's agent. If I'm not available to do it, she'll show homes for me and she'll hold open houses. So I kind of already have that
So you're,
structure
yeah, so
going.
you're able to leverage your time and be able to leverage
Yeah,
things you're doing. Okay.
yeah.
Okay. All right. Final question. Why are you at Century 21? You live in Camas or
I
Oakley. You live in
know.
Oakley now, right? Oakley.
Yeah, Oakley. Yeah.
So what keeps you here? I mean, obviously, and I get people saying, "Hey, I'm being recruited." Of course, you're being recruited. Everyone's being recruited. My heavens, look at all the real estate we sell in this company. If you weren't being recruited, I think it'd be odd. Right now, I mean, any of us, anyone listening, anyone who's not listening in our company, you're part of a very elite group of successful people in regards to the game of real estate, especially in today's market where more than 50% of the agents aren't selling real estate. Well, I was listening to a thing actually of Mike Ferry recently. He said the latest stats came out. They anticipate 4 million households to be sold in 2025, and there's 1.6 million real estate agents. That means the average agent will average no more than 2.5 transactions a year. Well, we know you're blowing that out of the water at epic levels. So as I go back to that, why are you here? What's important about being in Everest?
Well, first of all, I love Everest and what they stand for. I love the motivation and the inspiration that you guys provide. I like being a part of the big picture. And I feel like you guys support your agents so much. And I love my team. I love Leah Kruger. She's great. I just love all the moral support I get,
Yeah.
and the credibility. I mean, everybody knows Century 21. I love how it makes me feel. I love going to the summit meetings and, I feel like it's truly a company that brings out the best in you and, celebrates your successes with you as well. So.
No, I agree. And you are a shining example of, as we've said for years, that Everest is a personal development company that happens to sell real estate. And I said earlier today in a meeting, I said, look, if you want to change your personal reality, there's parts of you that you have to change, which means you have to change a little bit of your personality, which means maybe the way we believe or some of the things we think about or the way we choose to feel or the things that we're doing or saying about ourselves. And so the thing is that you are on such a beautiful journey of refinement, because we know there's opportunities out there in this marketplace. Everybody, there's people who are dying, people who are divorcing. To your point, buying second homes, first-time home buyers, downsizing, estate sales, job transfers, job promotions. Deals are happening. But
Hmm.
the reality is the great work that I've watched you do, Amber, in closing, is that you've worked on yourself. And in those famous words of the late Jim Rohn, you chose to work harder on yourself than you have at your own job. And when you do that, you truly change the world around you, and you change and help others to do the same. So I'm always honored to have you be in my presence. I'm so grateful that you're part of our company. I'm grateful for your friendship, Amber, and I'm grateful that you were willing to spend a little bit of time with us, and just willing to share your life and the way you approach it and the things that you do, because you're an inspiration to a lot of people, and especially women in business. My wife adores you, and so many do, because you're an inspiration in saying, hey, I can be all of these things and more at the same time, from being a great parent to being a great business leader to earning a tremendous amount of money to having a life where you travel, you give back, you serve, you're raising your family. You're an incredible example to many of us, and we love you dearly. So,
Thank
any
you
last
so
thoughts, Amber? Is that it? I think we're rolling.
No, we're good. Yeah, thank you. I'm flattered that you wanted to interview me today. So thank you. I appreciate it.
You're an incredible example to all of us, and keep up the great work. And we're excited to see what comes up next for you.
All right. Thank you.
Hey guys, have an extraordinary day. And this is going to be recorded, and you'll be able to get it later, and you'll get it also, Amber, if you want to go back and listen to it. But let's rock and roll. Let's have a great week.
Thank you.